This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
Chicago to your speakers.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you're something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you or if you ever used it before, but go ahead and use that code, man. Go ahead, save yourself $20 off one of these NBA games or something. Because speaking of the NBA, hey, man, I told y'all, I've warned you time after time, and this isn't the time to get really, really excited about anything just yet, but I've warned you multiple times. I told you, I said, just know when the Pistons finally get good, I am going to be a wreck. You're going to hate Pistons fans because of me. You're single-handedly going to be like, I cannot stand Pistons fans because of that dude named Manny. I've already warned you. I told multiple people on the pod, outside of the pod, plenty of times that just be ready. Just be ready and expect it. Now, the Pistons are finally making it to national media and making people realize that, hey, we have a star over here in Cade Cunningham. But even better yet, let's just go all the way back to the beginning, because so far this year, the Pistons, they've been on fire, man. They've only lost one game so far this entire year, and they've been killing it, man. Like, 10 out of the last 12 games that they've won, and I'm just very proud of this team and what they've been doing, playing great basketball, honestly, if you're watching the games. And you can see the growth in not only the stars, but how much having shooters has helped this team. Because a lot of people, they're wondering like, damn, well, when did the Pistons get so good? They only won 14 games last year. How did all of a sudden they just become a good team and they're sixth in the NBA in the Eastern Conference and they're somewhat of a playoff team all of a sudden? How did that happen? And you know what? Let me tell you exactly how it happened. Because one, they've been living in tragedy. They've always had the star in Cade Cunningham there, but a lot of y'all just now realizing that because they're finally getting wins. But the biggest difference that they've made, and a lot of Pistons fans who's listening to this, they're going to be able to hear me out. They're going to be able to relate to what I'm saying because we know. Come on, y'all. We know the suffering and the tragedy that we've had to face over the past few years. So we deserve to gloat just a tiny bit, even though, again, it's nothing really to get super crazy about. Still early on in the season. We ain't even got to the All-Star break yet. Also, Ivy got hurt, whatever. These are our side notes that I can touch on, but not going to do it. So let me just explain how the Pistons got so good in a year, since so many of y'all don't really understand how it happened, and y'all was just clueless to Cade Cunningham until last week. So first things first. So we had Manny Williams. Before Manny, I'm not even going to go too far. So I'm going to just start at Manny Williams because this could be a whole history lesson, and I'm going to try and keep it short. Manny Williams, awful coach. They paid him a grip of money to come to Detroit. He really didn't want to anyway, but he still ended up doing it because the money was just too much to turn down. Anyway, the 14-win season, and Manny Williams was just a wreck in itself, man. I mean, he was there. He was rotating 15 different people on the floor at once. No way in hell should you be playing more than 12 people, especially when you got a team full of scrubs. He was just pulling reserves, G League people. He was pulling anybody he could find to play basketball and potentially help Cade Cunningham win a game, which is why they ended up not winning a game, despite Cade Cunningham having some amazing performances last year. That was the first strike. That was the first big era of what the Pistons needed to change, and they fixed it, thankfully. Then they fired Troy Weaver. Troy Weaver was the GM here. This dude was condoning all of the nonsense that Manny Williams was doing, bringing in G League guys, bringing in guys who are way past their prime, bringing in guys who aren't even helpful veterans, but just guys who used to be popping back in high school when you was talking 2016 top 10 prospects, and also old elite college prospects who had big names at one point. That's the type of guys that the old GM Troy Weaver was bringing in for Detroit, and that's also why they did not see any sort of success there last year. So you got rid of all the washed guys. You got rid of the bad GM. You got rid of Monty Williams, who was an awful coach, who didn't know how to rotate the team and didn't know who to play and when to play them. And then finally, this is when things got good, because the Pistons, they hired Trajan Langdon. And this dude, as a GM, has hit it out the park so far, because the one thing I was saying we needed to do between last year and this year was bring in some shooters. And he's gotten us plenty of shooters. He blessed us with Malik Beasley, who's been on a tear so far this year. Brought in Hardaway Jr., who's been lighting it up as well. And then our young guys, they've been playing solid ball. It seems like they finally have some sort of good guidance to help them grow in the game of basketball compared to when we were with Monty Williams. He also drafted Ron Holland III, and Ron Holland, he got some game on him. He got a nice chip on his shoulder. He gonna run his mouth. He gonna play physical, and he gonna play hard, and that's what you need in Detroit basketball right now. So this is a good start. And then the thing that I love now is that Cade Cunningham is getting a lot of recognition, not only from Pistons fans, but everyone else in media and in the basketball world. Because my thing is, nobody really, enjoys a superstar when they're not winning games. Like, we Pistons fans know. We've seen Cade Cunningham drop 30 on back-to-back nights, 30 and 8, 30 and 9. He's easily giving you 30 and 9 in your sleep if you watch the game. You can see what Cade Cunningham does and how great of a player he is. But the thing is, mainstream media is not going to care if this not is equating to wins. That's the only way the mainstream media is going to even blink an eye at what's going on. So now that the Pistons are winning games in 2025 and actually turning things around, they're celebrating, and social media is looking good, and people are opening their eyes like, damn, they beat the Knicks twice in the Garden? Like, people are opening their eyes like, damn, Cade Cunningham put up a triple-double in the Garden? Like, come on, man. So my thing is, like, us as Pistons fans, this ain't nothing new. We already knew Cade Cunningham was going to be one of the best point guards in the NBA. We already knew he was a top 5 PG. Honestly, ask any Pistons fan, I guarantee they tell you that Cade Cunningham has been a top 5 guard in the past 2 years. I guarantee it. But the thing is, when you're losing like that, teams don't care about what you're doing on the floor. This is a reason why we see the narratives around Zach LaVine in Chicago of, oh, Zach LaVine is washed. No, he not. Zach LaVine's still out here balling. It's just they're not winning, so teams don't care, and the league does not care. But if you look at his numbers, you'll see that Zach LaVine's still averaging 24 and 5 ever since he's been on the Chicago Bulls, and that's something that's been very consistent since he stepped in a Bulls uniform. I mean, it's far from washed. Look at Trae Young. When the Atlanta Hawks ain't winning, it's that narrative, oh, you need to trade Trae Young. Trade Trae Young. He's not the good fit. But it's like, you're going to trade a guy who can easily get 25 and 10 in his sleep? Come on, man. So that's all it is. It's just mainstream media is late. And for those who've listened and heard me talk about the Pistons before, just know, man, hey, I told you, 2032 you can bank on the Pistons going back to the NBA championship. I said it before. Go look on the IG. Go look on the pages. The video's still up there. I got it pinned just for you to see on a personal page. So go ahead and look on there, man. I tried to tell y'all, give it to 2028. We'll be back in the playoffs competing for an actual championship. 2032, the Pistons would have won at least one championship by then. And I say it because they had to go through all the BS. They had to go through the nonsense of bad coaching and trying to put it together and trying to get the right guys to actually build around. And now that they have that, give Cade 4 more years. He's going to be one of the most talked about players in the NBA because he is such a talented player. Damn the market, damn the team. When you're winning games, which the Pistons are doing now, and they'll continue to do, as long as they continue to build in the correct way, oh, you're definitely going to hear more of Cade Cunningham balling out. And eventually, by 2032, you will hear about the Pistons going to the NBA Finals and actually making something happen in the finals. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. And that's a quick take. Again, go back, watch the video. I've been saying this for years, man. I believe it was maybe 2019 when I first mentioned this. So this ain't come out of the blue. This part ain't come out of a random win streak. I've been saying this before Cade Cunningham was even, actually no, Cade Cunningham was there. I don't know, I got to go back and watch the video my damn self. But I know definitely Saddiq Bey was there, and I thought we were keeping Saddiq Bey, who was, I thought he was a tremendous guard, but obviously some things changed. But, you know, hey, guys, they got to grow up. They got to grow up a little bit. By 2032, still got about 7 years, but just know, man, hey, Pistons going to be there. They're going to be straight. Anyway, look, man, hey, we're not off the hook with the NFL season. We got a quick side note coming up. And you know, we were on a tour last week of saying goodbye and welcome to the couch and welcome to the offseason, but there was one team I didn't really get a chance to congratulate. So I'm here, and I'm going to congratulate you. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and then I'll be back with the welcome to the couch.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Hey, Atlanta. Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, you know, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
All right, look, man, so I got this quick side note here, and this is the time where, you know, a lot of eliminated teams who in the NFL, or teams that were eliminated in, you know, week 16, week 17, week 18, those last few weeks of the NFL, you know, we felt some type of way because, you know, y'all playoff teams was clowning us, talking about, oh, y'all didn't even make the playoffs, you're lame, you suck, you trash, whatever. But now it's at the time where teams are getting eliminated in the playoffs. So it's time to welcome them to the offseason because this is where we are at the playoffs, and a lot of teams has been getting eliminated. So let's go ahead and run it up. We congratulated the Broncos. We congratulated the Green Bay Packers, the LA Chargers. Who else was over there? We had it all last week, man. All them teams that got put out in the wild card, best believe we went ahead and we welcomed them to the couch. So now it was one team I didn't get around to congratulating, and I'm gonna go ahead and congratulate them because they deserve it. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, man. Goodbye to your season for the Minnesota Vikings. I didn't get a chance to tell you goodbye for your 2024-2025 season, but hey, Minnesota Vikings fans, I'm gonna tell you right now, welcome to the offseason, welcome to the couch where you watch the rest of the playoff games, just like all the other teams who didn't make the playoffs or were eliminated at the same time as you. So now look, here, let's break it down because, I mean, hey, this was a 14-win team. What the hell happened as soon as you stepped into the playoffs? And matter of fact, what the hell happened the last 2 weeks of your season? You played the Lions, you were exposed. You played the Rams, you were exposed. To me, it looked like it may have been a combination of quarterback and also play calling. But hey, I'm just a regular Joe. That's just my humble opinion, apparently. And I'll say this, Sam Darnold, oh yeah, Sam Darnold, that man looked like he was back in the New York Jets uniform. He looked like he was way back in the Carolina Panthers uniform. So we really don't know at this point if Sam Darnold is legit or if he's illegitimate, because when it mattered most, he didn't even show up. Like, how crazy is that? I mean, bro held on to the ball way entirely too long. I mean, that was evident. It was clear that he was holding on to the ball too long, but also some of the play call was even wild as well. I couldn't tell at one point because I'm like, all right, we're designing some of these plays where you know the team is bringing pressure, but you're waiting for the routes to develop deep, and it's just not that much time when your O-line is caving in and Sam Darnold want to hold on to the ball like it's a newborn baby. It just don't work like that. Sam, you got to get the ball out of there. And each time he held on to the ball and took one of those 9 sacks that he received, oh yeah, he lost a couple of mil on that big bankroll that he was about to see because the Vikings were a 14-win team. But are those 14 wins eliminated now? Do we even care about those 14 wins that Sam Darnold earned? Or was it even Sam Darnold? So Vikings fans, y'all got some questions to answer because, I mean, hey, your quarterback looked like he was fraudulent. And now people are wondering, are y'all going to keep him? Do you want to even keep him there? Or do you want to try out with the rookie who didn't really get a shot? Because this is tough. You want 14 wins? You were supposed to be a number 1 seed. And then you got moved to 5 and got embarrassed in the first round of the road game? When everybody thought that the game before the playoffs was just a fluke? Yeah, I don't want to hear it, man. Y'all got some things to reconsider and you have some questions to answer. So, hey, Minnesota Vikings fans, I'm going to just tell you this, man. Look, welcome to the couch. Welcome to the offseason. And congratulations on beginning your new offseason and the end of your 2024-2025 season. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All right, look, man, so look, we got some news for the run as well, and I want to go ahead and give a quick reminder as well. Leave us a quick take, 219-413-9405. Of course, if you have a quick take of your own, you want to respond to anything, you want to go ahead and just drop a quick thought about one of the games that you watched. Shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405, and of course, we'll play your response back on our next episode. So here's what we're gonna do now. Let's go ahead and jump into some new things here. We got some news for the run coming up in just a second. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll jump into the news. All right, man, so let's jump into it. Some news for the run. Let's start off with the college football because obviously, as you guys know, man, this is championship week here. Got Ohio State versus Notre Dame happening this Monday, January 20th, and I'm expecting a great game between these two here. I think Ohio State is going to end up pulling out the win and winning this game, but I mean, Notre Dame, they've showed, if anything, that you definitely cannot sleep on them, beating Georgia, then going and beating Penn State. Like, I mean, hey, I'm not saying they had a difficult road or anything, but they definitely showed that they deserve to at least be in the national championship. And of course, you got to say the same thing about Ohio State with the road that they had in terms of getting to the championship, playing Tennessee the first round, beating Oregon the first round, then going and beating Texas in the semifinals. You got to consider these pathways. So I'm just glad we did get, 2 elite teams and it wasn't like a fluke type of a championship game, especially with all these 12 teams being in there. That was my biggest concern, and I still think there's some tweaking that needs to happen with the format to make sure that we get the best games possible on the journey and that the number 1 seeds get the easiest road possible on the journey because they are a number 1 seed. But also part of me is just still on that side of like, man, 12 teams is just too many damn teams, too much to keep up with. And some of these games, being blowouts and just, I get you want to give everybody a fair shot. You want the bowl games to have meaning, but I'm still just not rocking with it at the end of the day. Anyway, look, man, let's move on to the NFL because, NFL, we got some great matchups here and we got actually the divisional round for the playoffs here in the NFL. And I'm looking forward to these matchups. These matchups start Saturday, January 18th. So one of the games you can expect is the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This game is going to be played in Kansas City. And man, my pick is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the things I seen that was interesting is the referee that's going to actually be reffing this game and calling this game. Whenever he refs the Chiefs games, the Chiefs are 8-0. And man, the Chiefs already have a lot of help from the referees. So damn it, they got a ref who's known for helping them win. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if history is made on that side. So, I don't know. We'll see, though. But that's a great game to watch. Definitely keep an eye out for that. And then also to finish up the football for Saturday, we got the Commanders versus the Detroit Lions, which should be a great game as well. Now, the Lions, man, hey, they had that bye week. They well rested. They recovered. And then we see from the Commanders, this is a team here. They've been hot. The last few weeks of the season have all been like overtime wins, game-winning drives that we've witnessed. And, I mean, hey, you got to give them credit. They've been balling, but going against a team like the Lions is not going to be easy, and it ain't nothing to joke around with. It ain't nothing to play with. Lions is about to, man, they about to put BTA. I'm a firm believer. I think Lions is about to go out there and open up that can, because Commanders, they have a terrible run defense. Lions are a great offensive run team. And I mean, yeah, Commanders defense in general, let's just keep it a buck there, is not that good. So Lions being an elite offensive team that they are, I have a lot of faith that the Lions is going to probably wrap this game up early. But of course, you got to watch and see how it plays out, because even though I would be shocked that this would remain a close game after halftime, who knows? You never know. I mean, Commanders done shocked everybody so far in terms of the last few weeks of the season and getting this far in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. So definitely got to watch that game for Saturday. And then Sunday, we got a great slate here between the Philadelphia Eagles and the LA Rams. I'll explain this game in a minute of who I think will win, but just to give you a short answer, I'm going with the Eagles. And then also the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. This ought to be a great game here. So I'm excited for this game with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And the main reason I say I'm excited for it, because I think it's just going to be a shootout. I've been seeing so much information about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and what they'll do in going against each other. Oh, these two actually made their debut in the NFL against each other. And like, oh, what do you think about this opponent? What do you think about that opponent? These two are both MVP candidates as well. So it's a lot of different things that's lining up to make this matchup interesting. But I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens to win this matchup here. And the reason I'm going with the Ravens is because not only did they smack up the Bills earlier in week 4, they beat them 35-10 in week 4, but the Bills gave up 200 rushing yards to Derrick Henry only, just to Derrick Henry. And then also, you got to remember, too, in that game, Josh Allen was sacked multiple times, being 3. And I just ultimately believe that the Ravens defense is going to be too much for the Buffalo Bills. And that run game is going to be unstoppable in that game against the Bills. Because the Bills aren't that great defensively. They've allowed multiple teams to put up 30-plus points on them, whereas the Ravens have only allowed one team to put over 25 points, and that was the Cincinnati Bengals. That was it. Nobody else. Now, there is some doubts, don't get me wrong, because Ravens, they're not a perfect team. Yeah, I know I throw the stat out there about their defense, and, you know, they're put together. They don't allow that many points from other teams. But you got to consider, man, you know, the Ravens, they're dominant on the offensive end, leading the NFL in the rushing end in the regular season, also in the playoffs so far. And then they're also led the NFL in sacks in the regular season, and they're also leading the playoffs in sacks right now. But the thing that concerns me with the Baltimore Ravens, that's secondary. The Ravens secondary is not good. Let's keep it a buck. Let's call it for what it is. The Ravens secondary is quite boo-boo, and with a quarterback like Josh Allen who lets it fly, man, he just might have enough firepower to make it happen and give his team an advantage by exposing the Baltimore Ravens secondary. Now, I believe in the Ravens. I think they can make it happen, but this is an area where I'm really raising the eyebrow on the Ravens, even though I'm saying they're going to win. Because, I mean, MVP candidate versus MVP candidate, you got to expect those guys to take advantage of the loopholes that's presented to them. Now, ultimately, Ravens, I think they win. But the only way the Ravens actually win this game, and I got to collect my thoughts, because I think it'll be a close game. Above all, I think it'll be a close game. I'm saying Like, the smallest of the smallest things are going to matter in this game between the Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, just because, I mean, both teams have weaknesses. Both teams have elite quarterbacks at quarterback and advantages on offense because Ravens secondary is garbage. Bills have a bad run defense. They're not going to be able to stop the Baltimore Ravens run game. So it's just different things that's going to balance out in terms of the advantages and disadvantages in this game. So the smallest of the smallest things are going to matter in this matchup in terms of like, oh, was that a first down even though they went for it and it was 4th and inches? Did his foot actually touch the line? Was he out of bounds? Was it a bogus penalty call? Was it a give me type of penalty call? All of these sort of things are really, really going to matter because, I mean, I see this matchup being close. I see this game being close, and I see it being nothing like what we seen in week 4 between that matchup of the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. That was a slaughterhouse, and I would be very, very surprised if we walked into a game and seen that happen again come Sunday. I would just be shocked. But above all, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens for the win. I think it's going to happen. All right, look, I got another team here because another matchup that I wanted to explain was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. So Eagles and the Rams, I think this is going to be a good matchup. It's in Philly, and the Rams, honestly, if you've been watching the Rams, you've been following the Rams, it's clear. They have enough firepower to hang with anybody on the offensive end because Stafford is no joke. He's going to let it fly. And that offense is very creative, and that's a dynamic offense over there in LA with the Rams. So I believe no matter how good a defense is, the Rams will figure out a way to put up some points on the board. And speaking of defense, obviously, that's where we know the Eagles have a true bread and butter. So people talk about Saquon Barkley. People talk about Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown, all of the weapons that the Eagles have on the offensive end and how great the offensive end is. But ultimately, that defense is really, really the key for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. They've been locked in. They're first in defensive passing yards allowed in the season, in this previous season, and then they're also first in total yards allowed through this past season. So Eagles, they've been on a tear. They cover well, they tackle well, they're physical at the line of scrimmage, and they're physical when you're talking about the secondary. So, I like the Eagles for this matchup, but you definitely don't want to have a bad game. You definitely don't want to slack, and you damn sure don't want to give the Rams extra possessions because that's when it can begin to become a type of Rams are crawling back into this game. Like when I look back at the Packers and the Eagles matchup, Eagles gave the Packers multiple chances to actually come back and win the game. You don't give those opportunities to the Rams, or Eagles fans will be very, very disappointed watching this matchup because the Rams are going to win, if that's the case. Anyway, other than that, man, I got the Eagles for the win. I got them taking the dub, and then they'll go on and play the Detroit Lions for that conference championship. I think it'll be a great matchup. All right, look, so that's all I got for you today. Of course, I appreciate you kicking it with me. I appreciate you hanging with me, listening to the full episode. Of course, if you listen to the full episode, for those people who do, just listen to it all the way through. I rock with you heavy. I'm gonna leave y'all on a positive note, man. And the positive note is just, continue to push forward. Continue to push forward, regardless of, the emotion. I know sometimes, when we're trying to accomplish things, it's rough, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable, it's fuck. Excuse my language, but it's uncomfortable sometimes when we're trying to push for certain things that we're working toward. It can just be so frustrating too, because things might not happen on your time, but accept those emotions and recognize those emotions. But above all, just continue to push forward. Obviously, rest if you need to, take some time if you need to, but definitely do not stop. Continue to push forward because the only thing that's blocking you from where you want to be is just how long are you going to continue to try it and get there. That's it. This is what I tell myself. This is stuff I always repeat to myself. And, I give y'all the positive note based on how I'm feeling. So, and based on the things that I've been saying in my head all week. So, y'all leave that, man. I'm going to leave y'all with that and then accept that however you want to accept that. But that's how I'm putting it out there. Other than that, man, look, that's all I got for y'all. Enjoy the weekend. We got a great weekend of football coming up. So definitely enjoy that. Other than that, man, hey, I'll be back later on next week. And so on and so on and so on.